Namanda, 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 namanda. Morning, everyone. Morning. Gotta catch my breath. Suck it. No, just kidding. Please join me in Gashal. The words of Shinran from his notes on the inscriptions on sacred scrolls. Know that when the true and real Shinjin, that is the one thought moment of joy, unfolds, you will be born without fail in the land fulfilled by the primal vow. Joy is joy upon realizing Shinjin. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda 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 Butsu. Thank you, everyone, for being with me here today and chanting the Shoshinge. Yesterday I was going over what I should talk about today, and it actually took me all day to come up with a topic. And it turned out to be something that I've been doing every day, and it just came up to me. It's like, oh, maybe I should talk about that. And that's that over the past few weeks, getting up and reading the news, I was finding that I was juggling this need to know and keep up with current events and affairs and politics, and trying to balance that with self-care. And I use my phone as an alarm clock. I use that as an alarm instead of my alarm clock now. It seems to be more accurate. And I've gotten in this really bad habit, and that's grabbing my phone, turning off the alarm, and then immediately start reading the news feed. And that can really work me up sometimes in the morning. And it just appears right there on my home screen, and all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, I'm rushing out of bed, jumping in the shower, trying to get to the Muni on time. So my adrenaline's pumping, and then I'm also cortisol, from the anger of reading what's going on in the news. And so being rushed and annoyed really isn't a good way to start my morning. And then at night, when I come home, the nightly news is usually my dinner companion. So here again, I get another dose, of bad news. And then I ask myself, why am I doing this? So for the past few weeks, I've been trying to look at the news less and actually just get outside and go for a walk. And at first, I started with taking 30-minute walks at lunch. And I work in the financial district, so I'm really close to North Beach. So I've been, it's kind of a twofold thing because I'm trying to get my numbers down before the physical. So I've been going up to the Vallejo stairs and climbing the Vallejo stairs at lunch every day. So it takes me exactly 30 minutes to get to the stairs to the top and then back to the office. And from the top of the stairs, I can look out and I can see Treasure Island and the Bay Bridge, and it brings this sense of calm, and peace while I'm out there. And also, too, the Vallejo stairs are planted with a garden. I don't know if it's the residents that live along the stairs that do it, but whoever's doing it, has done an amazing job. And it's probably over the course of generations that people have planted flowers and trees. And it's nice to just go up there and you see people eating their lunch. I see tourists from all over the world climbing the stairs, huffing it, up and down. And I noticed that when I don't take those walks, I seem to be a little more stressed. So when I don't take a walk during the workday, or I can't get out during the workday, I've been getting off the bus over here at Divisadero. I live in the inner Richmond. So I get off the bus at Divisadero, and then I've been taking different ways home, Sacramento, Washington, trying to go up hills to get that exercise in. But I've been noticing different things along the way. Vantage points that I've never seen before. Sometimes when you're in the car, you don't notice things, and you're driving down the same street, a million times. But on foot, you start to notice different things. And then one of the things I did notice was my attention started to focus on my natural surroundings, and less so on my worries and complaints. The other is that I started questioning my thoughts as if in meditation. And I made a profound discovery just from these short little walks. That discovery is that much of my frustration that I've been experiencing, whether it be with the news, with coworkers, with family, with friends, is this need or this want to fix, take over, make right everything that this foolish being, this Bombu, thinks is wrong. Of course, when you approach life, from this attitude, it leaves very little room for joy. It also hinders meaningful conversation and the building of mutual understanding, which is something that we so desperately need in this world. It's like, can you say G7 summit? I haven't fully kicked my news habit, as you can see. In contrast to control is the virtue of surrender. Another habit that I've developed is watching TED Talks on YouTube. And I recently came across a talk on surrender given by Dr. Judith Orloff. She's a researcher and psychiatrist that graduated from, she's an MD that graduated from USC and UCLA. And she's an expert on empathy. In the very beginning of the talk, she asked the audience these 3 questions in the TED Talk. So I want to ask you these 3 questions this morning as well. Do you recognize that you can't control everything? Can you admit when you're wrong? Can you be spontaneous and not plan everything? Now, I can usually admit when I'm wrong, but the other 2, not so much. And what the heck is spontaneity? I mean, it actually scares me. The Google Calendar is my best friend. So Dr. Orloff suggests some simple exercises to encourage surrender. And one of the ones that she brought up, which I thought was kind of funny, was going into a supermarket, and when you see you get in, or about to get into a long line, to stop and let another person in front of you and let them go. And she said something, starts to happen. It's like this, I think she experiences what I experienced at the grocery store. For some reason, when there's certain grocery stores more than others where you walk in, and I think you know which ones they are, where people are just upset, uptight, and angry. And it's funny because these stores supposedly market to a more enlightened customer. But when you go into these places, you feel that physical tension. And she says, go in there, let somebody else through and see what happens. And many times what she notices is that tension, that anger on people's faces will subside, and that there's actually a connection made and a sense of gratitude and appreciation. And that sometimes will even lift the mood, and the line will start to move faster on its own, just by the very fact of these small exercises. So I adopted Dr. Orloff's exercises to my walks and driving. Over the past year, I know I've gotten really aggressive behind the wheel, especially going down Pine Street. At times, I don't even recognize myself, and I'm often ashamed of my reactions. I think road rage and aggressive driving have become a real contagion in our city. And the increase in pedestrian fatalities really attests to this. So I'm trying to slow down, leave earlier. I'm letting cars merge into traffic ahead of me. Sometimes this always doesn't sit well with the person behind me, but I'm still trying to do that. When I'm walking, I don't assume that I have the right of way or try to rush into the intersection. And more I've noticed that the cars will actually let me go through the intersection first. It's as if the mere acknowledgement of each other's presence changes the dynamic, and we become human again. Dr. Orloff speaks of 4 kinds of surrender. The first is trial by fire surrender. She says this happens under duress or crisis or loss. And she sees these situations as opportunities, actually, for growth. The second type of surrender she talks about is the surrendering of our anxieties and fears. I love that one. Wouldn't it be nice just to surrender your anxieties and fears, just to let them go? And she works with her patients on doing this by replacing those anxieties and fears with positive images and conjuring up, bringing up blissful moments or moments of loved ones or grandchildren or parents to replace those anxieties and fears. The third is accepting what is, but not trying to fit people and things into our preconceived notion of what they should be. Fourth, which I think might be the most important, is the surrendering to joy. As I take my walks these days, I experience profound joy, noticing new vantage points, discovering side streets, and hidden gardens, in this great city of ours. And it takes my attention away from all the things that I think are wrong with it, if only for a moment. Our founder, Shinran, discovered joy in the surrender that is Shinjin, the surrender of our calculating mind. He states, once true and trusting is settled, we realize that our birth is due to the working of Amida, and not to our calculations. Even though we may do evil, even more should we think about the power of the vow. Then tenderness and forbearance will appear by virtue of spontaneous working, Jinen. To live a life of joy with tenderness and forbearance is, to me, what living the Nembutsu is. Conscious of my tendency to control, fix, sometimes rage, my mantra has become figuratively and literally surrender and stay in your lane. Please join me in Gasho. Know that when the true and real Shinjin, that is one thought moment of joy, unfolds, you will be born without fail in the land fulfilled by the primal vow. Joy is joy upon realizing Shinji. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda Butsu. Thank you.